Ohio State taking on Texas today. As you're watching this video, I'm Steven, that's Stefan, and that's Andrew. And as we do every week during the season, this is Game Time Decisions. This is where we talk about a thing that could decide the game. This is a football thing, all about football, what we think could end up deciding the game between the number 1 and number 3 teams in the country to start the season. Ohio State has not lost a season opener since 1999 when they lost at Miami. They're trying to keep that streak alive, and Texas is trying to keep that streak from living on. Stefan, you first. What's the most important thing you think will decide the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a shocking answer. It's in the trenches, and I'll start specifically with the Texas's defensive line against Ohio State's offensive line. If you listen to Buckeye Talk earlier this week, we broke this down a ton of just Ohio State's got a lot of change at tackle on the offensive line. Austin Saravol's now going to be the left tackle. As you're watching this, maybe you know what the answer is at right tackle. As we're recording this, we still don't exactly know what the right answer is. We think it's going to be Phillip Daniels. We think there's going to be some kind of rotation at right guard. We'll see what exactly it looks like. But at the end of the day, it's new at tackle for Ohio State after having Josh Simmons and Donovan Jackson really hold that down at left tackle last year, and Josh Fryer do a great job at right tackle last year. It's going to look different, and you're going up against maybe two of the better pass rushers in the country, definitely with Colin Simmons and kind of what he can be as an NFL prospect going into, and now what he is going into his sophomore year. There are high expectations for the Texas defensive line, and those edge rushers are going to be coming at Ohio State's offensive line, and Austin Saravel has to prove that for us who haven't been able to view practices and all that since early August, did his move to left tackle happen because he's just that damn good and they're going to put him at the most important spot on the offensive line, or did it happen because Ohio State needed someone at left tackle and that was the best option, right? Like, are you settling or are you doing that out of a place of strength? And if it proves to be a place of strength and Ohio State is good at tackle, especially left tackle, then that's going to make a huge difference if Texas can't get a consistent pass rush considering what the guys on Ohio State's perimeter are going to do down the field. However, if it's the inverse and there are struggles at tackle and Texas's defensive linemen, the defensive ends, are able to get after Julian Sayin and make life difficult for him in his first career start, it's going to be very hard for Ohio State's offense to get going. So whatever happens between Texas's defensive ends and Ohio State's offensive tackles could very well decide what happens in this game.
And when we were in where we're at right now, this is Wednesday when we're recording this. When we were in there Wednesday evening, we were talking to the cops. He brought up that Donovan Jackson, when he was around in the spring, was helping him make that transition from guard to tackle. And he said his is probably easier than Donovan Jackson's because he's had 9 months. Donovan Jackson had 9 days to get ready to do this. I think it's a – but it is similar, though, right? You're having to do this for the first time against a guy who's going to be a top 5 draft pick one day. Andrew, what's the thing for you that is going to decide who wins this game on Saturday?
I want to know and I want to see what Ohio State's defensive tackle depth looks like, because as this game wears on, the weather's not going to be bad. I don't know if you guys check the weather. It's going to be like 75 degrees and sunny. It's going to be a perfect day for football. So I think Ohio State's defensive tackles kind of looked out that it's like 90, not 93 degrees and humid or anything like that, right? However, we have been talking about this defensive tackle depth really since spring practice, going, hey, what's going on here? Who's the next? Because we looked at Caden McDonald, we looked at Edric Houston and went, this might be the best tandem in the Big Ten. This might be the best starting tandem in the Big Ten. After that, we don't know. Well, now it's time to find out. And how that matters is if Texas is able to run the ball, you have a quarterback that can move a little bit. We obviously know that Arch is not afraid of being aggressive with his legs, not afraid of running. We saw Texas use him last year pretty much exclusively as almost like a wildcat type of quarterback when he came into the games as a specialist that was. So Ohio State defending the run is going to be really interesting because that is how Texas puts Ohio State on their heels. We talked about this being a young team. Texas runs the ball. They get a 7-minute touchdown drive. They move the ball down the field because they're kind of gashing Ohio State up the middle. You're going to tire out that defensive line. They're going to start to need to rotate. What happens at that point when Ohio State's 3 and 4 defensive tackles need to come into the game? Ryan Day said, we're going to roll them. That was a quote he used on Tuesday in terms of his defensive tackles. We're going to roll those guys. If rolling those guys doesn't work for Ohio State and Texas is able to control the ball, I think that's going to put Ohio State in a negative game script. That's going to put Ohio State in a bad situation for a young team, and I think that's how Texas can really start to grind this game away. So to me, what Ohio State does in the middle of that defense is very important.
I'm starting to think there are not going to be a lot of people who play in this game. And I know we've been saying that all week, but even at defensive tackle, I think Will Smith is going to play. And then that's where the list ends of people I'm confident enough to say that I think this is going to be the way Ryan Day was talking about this on Wednesday. They are going to play a lot of people in a lot of different roles this year. They're not going to do that week one because they can't, which has me thinking about that offensive tackle rotation. What if Phillip Daniels just starts and plays every single snap? And Ethan Inyawa plays, but he's like the tackle eligible in short yardage situations versus trying to rotate guys. They can't. They got to keep it real short. The leash is going to be real short with everybody because they just have to get through this week. I also have I think I'll save this for the podcast tomorrow. Go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts. I think I think we're too concerned about Texas being able to run the ball on Ohio State when they're also replacing 4 of their starting offensive linemen, but that's a conversation for tomorrow. Mine is a little bit more nuanced, and it's about what happens when the plan gets thrown off for both sides, right? Sark obviously starts off with a script. His first 15 plays are always scripted. It's become a legendary thing to talk about. I asked Ryan Day on Wednesday evening because they don't do that. They have openers, of course. Everybody has things that they run first, but they don't have necessarily scripts. And part of the reason you don't is all it takes is one negative play, and all of a sudden what you planned to do no longer matters, right? What happens the first time 1st and 10 becomes 2nd and 14, or it's 2nd and 6, and now you're at 3rd and 9, right? Or, you thought you drew up something nice. It should have been a completion, and instead somebody drops it, or it gets batted down, or you have a great play, and then a penalty comes into a place. What happens when you get behind the sticks with these young quarterbacks? And it's for different reasons. Julian Sand is young. He's never ever played a meaningful snap of college football before. Arch Manning has, but he's never played in this type of environment before. And one of these coaches comes in with a plan for the first 15 plays, and the other coach has a million different weapons that they got to figure out how to get all these guys involved. And when you've got young quarterbacks, things are fine as long as the plan is going the right way. But the moment that the plan goes off the rails, someone's going to rise and someone's going to fall. And it might be both at times doing both of those things. But I think whoever between these quarterbacks can steady the ship enough, and that's not saying they got to be able to go out there and be Superman, but you also can't be super dud. Whoever can ready to ship enough times and get things back on schedule whenever the plan goes awry, I think that's actually who's going to end up winning this game. Get the text 614-350-3315. It's a 2-week free trial, $3.99. After that, we text a lot during the games. I'm going to blow your phone up. I'm sorry, but you'll enjoy it. It'll be all the stuff you want to see, all the things you want to hear from the game day. 614-350-3315, and go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts, and go get ready to watch a football game. Football is back. Number 1 versus number 3 in the shoe at noon on Fox. I'm Steven. That's Stefan. That's Andrew. We'll all be there. See you after the game.